Hi there, Mark Jabin here, Medical Director for the Haywood County Health Department. And let's talk about this pandemic. Time for the weekly update. And in this video, the favorable trend continues. We're getting closer to our goal. So I thought it would be a good time to look back where the nation was a month ago. And note particularly the upper Midwest and the West with super high rates of new cases 6 weeks ago. Many of those now out of the red. Much more orange and yellow, and actually more places in the green. There are now 23 states, almost half the country, no longer in red. And that includes North Dakota, which at 6.7 now joins Hawaii as the only two states in the yellow, under 10 new cases over a 7-day rolling average per 100,000 population. In the southeast, Georgia stands out as a state. They're now at 28, almost out of the red zone, and mostly not red, and even some green. You can see Tennessee and South Carolina still with the highest rate in the country this week, but only at 62. And compare that with November, when the highest rate in the country was North Dakota at 216. Still very high for South Carolina, but when that reflects the highest rate in the country, that just reflects what's happening overall. North Carolina also decreased down to 40, and there are 6 counties out of the red zone and now in the orange. In western North Carolina, every county saw a decrease in new cases and new case rates this past week. 3 western North Carolina counties now out of the red zone. Jackson and Buncombe are almost out of the red zone. And other than Macon, which is the 14th highest rate in the state, everyone is in the lower half. Macon had the smallest decrease in cases this past week, but yet it was a decrease. Everyone else, roughly 25% decreases in their cases. Clay, Swain, and Graham, they're now 3 of the 4 lowest rates in the state. Jackson and Buncombe are 11th and 12th lowest. And especially note the significant decrease in new cases for those in bold. Last week, you may recall, Macon, Buncombe, and Henderson, as well as the state of North Carolina, each had an upturn in their new case rates. And we weren't sure where that was going, whether we'd stalled out or not. But all have headed lower since, so that turns out just to be a blip in the overall downward trend. Test positivity rates are down for everyone. The state now at 6.5, and you will recall a few weeks ago they were well above 10 and 11. Haywood County at 6.4. Everyone else between 5 and 8. Macon at 12, although that does represent a decrease for them. And Transylvania, 4.5%, below the 5% threshold. That's the first time a county in western North Carolina has been below that threshold in quite some time. Hospitalizations and ICU admits are down. And here is the age breakdown of those hospitalized in western North Carolina as of February 12th. Haywood Regional now averaging about 9 COVID-related admits, and that's about the number of COVID-related admissions they were having back in the end of November. In Haywood County, we continue a downward trend in new case rates. Last week looked like we were plateauing again, but it has instead continued lower. Now the total for the pandemic is 3,653 cases. That's an increase of 134 over the past week. And that puts us about where we were just before Thanksgiving. It's also the smallest percentage increase week over week of new cases since the end of October. Vaccinations in the county, we've vaccinated around 10,000 citizens so far, roughly 15% of our population, and that ranks us near the highest in the state. Now, it's impossible to be completely accurate about that number because long-term care facility residents and staff, people vaccinated at the VA, and now Walgreens, these are all tracked in systems that we don't have access to. So thanks to everyone who has participated in this endeavor, both those doing the work and those being vaccinated, because we're now I should note we're now well into our second doses for many. And to date, not a single serious adverse reaction for anyone, first or second dose. So this looks really favorable. We are approaching numbers that match the early part of this surge, which has been going on, as you recall, since early November, 3.5 months ago. But also that only puts us at the same level as the peak of the surge last summer. In Haywood County, we've gone from a peak of roughly 50 to 60 new cases a day in mid-January, now to about 21. And we need to get that number down to about 6 or less. So we're well on our way. And thanks to each of you for doing your part. And those of you not so inclined, well, time to jump on board because you can really help us get where we need to be even sooner. You know, each time you're careful around family and others, each time you're careful when you go out and about, each person who gets vaccinated, all of this moves us closer to a time when we can all safely gather together again. So be well and be careful, especially right now.